What's going on, beautiful people? Welcome to the Value Podcast, where valuable people attract people of value. I'm Jamel Jackson, your relationship mechanic. I focus on preparing, evaluating, and giving you the tools you need to maintain healthy relationships. And today, I brought a different set of tools today. I got some special guests on here, man. I actually love these people right here, man. Believe it or not.
Love you too,
So,
bro.
huh?
Love you too, bro.
Thank you. Thank you. Dang, man.
I didn't see it. Sorry, I'm just like, it's like no.
Okay, so I know you guys' names, but I want you guys to tell everybody what's your name, what do you do? Because you guys are still you guys are doing some stuff out there. Even though people, sometimes people think that everybody got to know people's names, got to be real big for them to be making impact in the world. But so what's your name?
My name is Adara. I am a business owner. I own my own business in Brain Arts Unlimited, which is geared around makeup artistry, also advanced fitness and styling.
Okay, hold on. Did you say dance, fitness? Mm-hmm. So you teach dancing?
I used to teach Zumba.
Oh, this is another hidden gift.
Mm-hmm. I used to be a cheerleading coach. I used to do a lot. Dance is my first passion.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Oh.
That's what's up.
What's going on over there, young man?
Not young anymore, but yeah. Willis Ross is my name. I'm an engineer by trade. I also invest in real estate, and I run a nonprofit men's ministry.
Okay. Can you get a little closer?
Sure.
I'm not trying to
sure.
squeeze y'all together like that, but listen. So today, man, I want to go behind the veil, go behind the scenes, and the purpose of this particular episode is to share the testimonies and of relationships, or a relationship that you guys may have been in, and it may have left a scar on your heart. I've been in relationships where it has left a scar or scars on my heart and been wounded, and had to open up and share the memory of that scar with people. I've done it live. A lot of people who know me. The transparency, it's in my book. But today I wanted you guys to share your story. So I want to start with the gentleman first, Will.
I thought it was ladies first.
It is ladies first, but I want you to lead it so she can flow right into
All
it.
right, I got you.
How far do you remember whatever that relationship was, and how did it feel when you went through that particular incident? What's going on, beautiful people? I'm sorry I had to interrupt your value time, but people have been asking me, Jamel, how do I support the Value Podcast? I want to show some love. Well, you can go to VPAPOV.com. That's VPAPOV.com and grab yourself some value gear. And for those that have been watching and they say, man, I like this wisdom, I like the conversations that's taking place, how can I work with you one-on-one? You can go to JamelDJackson.com. That's JamelDJackson.com. Click the link, head to the website. Let's work together. I want to see you have the best, amazing, healthy relationships in your life. Back to the podcast.
So this was early, and I say early relatively. It was in my early 20s, this relationship, and just going through it, it was more so just where I was and how I was raised. It was more so, okay, let me just push through and go through the motions, because that's what men do. That's what, we have to be here for our woman. We have to lift, cherish, and value her and lead her. And it was a reflection of that if things weren't working out right. So I was really just stuck in go mode and trying to fix this, trying to fix that, and just bear this pain and just keep going, just keep my head down, keep going. So that's where I was mentally.
So this woman you're talking about, how long were you guys together?
We were together for about a year and a half.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Now, when you say you were going through it, what exactly happened?
So basically, she was very controlling, and now that I look back, it was just a reflection of her hurt and her pain that she had dealt with. So she was very controlling, very manipulative in the relationship. So what that looks like, I guess, on a day-to-day basis, she, emasculated me in front of, I had all male roommates at the time, so she emasculated me every time She got the chance to, by way of being verbally abusive or physically abusive sometimes, and sometimes, yeah, just emotionally abusive.
You know, that's interesting because even when you say abusive, because most people, I mean, of course, in our society, you sometimes would see that on the other side, like the woman's being abused by the man verbally, physically, emotionally. So I want you to just give me one example, like how would she like demasculate you, like in front of your friends?
So she had plenty of male friends. She'll have the male friend come talk to her. She'd flirt right there in front of me. And then when he feels uncomfortable because I'm right there, he'll be like, yo, your buddy's right here. And she'll wave me off. She'll be like, he's nobody. Just, forget about him. That happened several times. Another time, it was a guy who was hitting on her, trying to comfort her in the apartment complex. She knew it, I knew it, but she still entertained him. She still went over there, entertained him, and then eventually that relationship got to a point where he was sending her explicit photos to her phone, and I guess out of trying to flex that authority over me, she showed me and was like, "What are you gonna do about it?" Like trying to get some type of reaction out of me.
Yeah. Wow. So hold on a second. Like, how did you feel when that was occurring? Because I hear you saying what happened, but how did that? Because that got to sting. Like
It does.
And you're sticking around. Like, what would make you stick and stay? Was it some type of connection something deeper that where it's like?
Not at all. So it just stemmed from my childhood and how I was raised. So I was raised with 9 sisters, and just I guess. And my dad, I had my dad in my life. I had my mom in my life, and I had 9 sisters. I was the oldest boy. My dad was just not spiritually present. He was there, but his presence was more so, okay, well, you're a man, so you need to stay on this track. Men protect, provide, cherish. So when it came to being emotionally there or talking to me about, anything beyond just work ethic, he just wasn't there. So I kind of had to figure it out. And then I had my 9 sisters there. They didn't understand anything. So any given time that we have arguments with my 9 sisters, you can guess what happened. I was, I guess, overly punished as opposed to them in any given situation. So that kind of, I guess, positioned my mind to say, okay, well, my emotions don't matter, my thoughts don't matter. Nothing matters from what on my side. My only objective is to, please her, is to protect and provide her, is to maintain my work ethic and be a man of the household and, keep going. So I had no artillery to fight this type of setup or situation. I had no idea what the heck was going on. I just was like, okay, well, similar situation. My sisters beat me up and come at me and shame me and stuff, but I can't defend myself because if I lay a hand on her, my dad is going to kill me. He's going to destroy me. No matter what they did to me, no matter what they said to me, my dad is going to literally destroy me. So from reacting from that childhood trauma, I learned to just isolate, keep my head down, keep quiet, keep pushing through it, just to maintain my masculinity or what I perceived back then as masculinity.
That goes into when I coach couples, this thing called memory meetings, and the way that you were dealing with this memory was masking it with masculinity, like a lot of men do. So you're in this position with this woman, and she's demasculating you, and from your childhood, you're taught to just be this provider, this protector, and even though you're being treated this way, you're not going to do anything. But you're being emotionally beat down, and you don't know how to defend yourself.
Right.
Wow. Adara, before we go into your story, can you relate to Will's story in any way?
I not really relate, but I understand. Like, I definitely can see where, how you were brought up, how it transitioned into your relationships outside of, it just being a family relationship going into an actual relationship with a partner. So I definitely understand that, and I think that's a lot that happens with a lot of us. You know, we deal with, new relationships, how we dealt with old relationships, and we have to learn how to even kind of like break that and heal from those things so you don't transition and move that type of energy into something that's new and has nothing to do with that. Because some people come with a genuine heart. Of course, for you, she was kind of on the same type of time, but when you're moving forward, you can kind of see and recognize what's real and genuine and kind of move forward and not have to bring in that old trauma with you. So I really do hope that happens for you, where you can, move forward in a new light.
Right.
Yeah, and a lot of us don't know how to live with the memories.
Right.
There's a chapter in my book called Living with the Memory, and it's dealing with going back to those traumatic situations. And sometimes people never showed us. Like you said, your dad is like, hey, be strong, be a protector, be like this. Your sisters are jumping on you, don't do anything. When you're trying to bring this information to somebody, but everybody's pushing you back off to the side. So then what you start doing as years progress, you're covering it up with masculinity. You end up in a relationship and you never dealt with these memories. Nobody showed you how to heal with the memory. Or you may have people around you just say, hey, just keep loving, just keep protecting, keep providing.
Yep.
That's a great thing to do. Those are great attributes to have, but it's not healing you from your memory. So we have to learn how to live with the memory. So Adara, we want to touch on one of your memories. So what particular relationship was it that has left a scar on you, but you overcame it? You're in a better position right now, but how did that start out?
It started good. It started good. Honestly, it's the relationship, my last relationship, and the longest relationship I actually dealt with outside of actual family members. But it started always, starts good, it seems like anyway. But of course, when it started, we were younger. So, the perspective of it changed as we got older. And some expectations, of course, have changed as well. For me, with my situation, is kind of, not even say different, but I more so fell in love with potential because I was so young dealing with the relationship. So I was like, I can see where, like, I'm not trying to pressure you because we're young, but I can see where this could be going, And then with me being a woman and most women being a little bit advanced than most men, it seemed like pressure. And he had similar situation with, with how you were raised with multiple women in the house. He had 9 sisters as well, actually. It's like 13 of them all together. But he had issues that he was dealing with, and I was very supportive. Or I tried to be. I'm not one. We pretty much was raised on 2 different sides of the spectrum almost, but I'm not one to, beat nobody up about how, they're upcoming or anything. But
Real quick before you continue, how old were you?
High school, so about 17.
Okay.
Yeah, 16, 17.
And so he has his own basically baggage or trauma, and you have some of your own, and then you're trying to kind of like coach and counsel him through his while you guys are together.
Right.
Okay.
But then before we even got to that point, it really wasn't even that, because we were at that time we were just enjoying each other.
Right.
Then as we got older, I realized that it's some real underlying issues that need to be dealt with. And me trying to help him kind of seemed like another woman. Actually, he told me this once before, like when I was trying to pressure, not even pressure, but at the time I think I was moving out. My mom had just actually moved to Atlanta, and I was trying to, get myself together actually. So I'm like, you want to do this together or whatever? And what I felt I was ready for, he clearly wasn't. So when I was telling him, like, well, this is what we should be doing, let's look in places to the third, it seemed like another woman telling him what to do, because he had other siblings that, kind of did the same thing, or his grandparent. So, it's like, I'm not there yet, I'm not really listening. Then, growing up, it's like, okay, now we're here, and this is what needs to be done. And it's still some of those things not being dealt with in the manner that I would like. But when it comes to the relationship and the pain, and it was a point where I really was transitioning. Like, I moved here to Atlanta about 5 years ago almost, and I felt, for me, I always felt I was destined for greatness. I always felt like, it's something's going to come from Adara Dene. So with me being so strong on how I felt and someone else who's not really knowing which way to go, it can be intimidating. And I realized that. So me personally, I'm still not trying to make that an issue. I just understand it. I see what's happening, but I'm not, that's here nor there. I care for you. That's, we gonna make this work together, but it started affecting the relationship based off of me being, like I said, really straightforward and a go-getter, and then feeling like I'm being held back because I have to keep constantly picking someone else up in a way. So for me, it was started to get a little heavy, but I still, we can push through. Like, I already know life is hard. Life, things happen. So it's nothing that I can't deal with. But it started to get, what's the word? Toxic. Right before I moved to Atlanta, it was one of those things like, it was just went from really everything's going to, like I said, toxic, like instantaneous. Like, it was no middle. It was like, I've never seen this person before. I've never dealt with this person before, so I didn't know how to handle it. So the first time I experienced something, it really became abusive, honestly. I'm going to just keep it transparent.
Yeah, let's
I've
do
been
that.
abused. It still bring a little lump in my throat, but
When you say abuse, like, were you like verbally?
physically, emotionally. Dang, it ain't even 5 minutes in.
We got any tissue?
So
Oh, you got some right there.
That's okay. That's okay.
It's one of those things where when it happens, you feel like, okay, this is the first time, it ain't gonna happen again. I've actually witnessed it happening once and not happening again. So I'm like, okay, we can push through this. Like, even though abuse was one of those things, it was like a complete deal breaker for me. Like, I've witnessed my mom. Sorry. And not even that, just like certain things, I just don't. I'm really a strong woman, so certain things you're not gonna play with me. Like, it's just not gonna happen. So me allowing somebody to abuse me in that way, it was like, okay, I tried to, especially with the history too. I think that's where my downfall was, being in love with potential and having the history behind it, and just kind of like being optimistic, because I'm always looking at the glass half full versus half empty. So just being hopeful, like, okay, well, because the person wasn't all bad, it was really no bad to really compare to. It was like, it was good when it's good, it's good, but when it's bad, it's like, whoa, what the hell? So it's really like no in between. So like, again, I didn't really know how to deal with it or handle it, and I feel like that ultimately kind of made me beat up on myself a little bit more, because I let something slide that I would have never let slide. So
At that point in time, did you have anybody that you could reach out to, that you could trust, and that at that point in time, when you're going through this battle, like, you got the mental battle, the physical battle, I'm protecting this man, he's doing this, like.
I did, but it's one of those things, how when you deal with someone and you kind of like, everybody kind of became passive of it, because it was something they've never seen before. Even with myself, we've never been in no physical like altercation like that, where it's like, oh, this is something normal, so we not get ready to jump in. If some people be like that, like, if this is something normal, we ain't about to keep jumping in for you and you gonna go back or whatever. It wasn't that, so it was kind of like any other time this person's a good person or whatever the case may be. What happened? They was concerned more so about him too, like, but what's going on, like. So it kind of made me second guess, okay, or not even second guess, but give a second thought about it. Okay, well, maybe something is bigger than me, And at the time, I felt like it was a lot of pressure going on at that time. Like, we had both lost somebody close to us. So I just felt like it just was bad timing, But then once we moved and everything and got past that, it kind of subsided, but then it kind of resurfaced again. And then it's like, okay, I'm not going down this road again, because the first time it was past. The second time, we not about to make this, first time, shame on me. Shame on you. Second time, shame on me, like, period. Like, so, now it's just like, it's just a lot, because the person is attached to me a little bit more than what I would like. So, I'm having to deal with that person in this, like having to heal in the same space that I was hurt. Literally. So with me, it's like, it's hard because everybody else looks at me like the strong person, but I'm be breaking.
Yeah.
Like I do. Like sometimes I really just be breaking and I be wanting something different. But I feel I've definitely healed. I'm in a healing process. I'm not gonna say heal completely, because if I was, I wouldn't be crying. But I'm in a healing process from it, and it feels good to be at this place because I see where I'm going, and I see what's going to come from it. So at this point, I'm kind of getting anxious about it because it's like I'm ready.
Yeah.
Like I'm ready.
Yeah. You know what? That while you're sharing it, I mean, it's starting to have me think about you, Will, and then even what you were dealing with. What were some coping mechanisms? Because you stayed, and she stayed. And why were you staying? Like, I know obviously you were talking about how your dad said you're the protector, you're the provider. Are those some of the things that made you stay? And then, of course, I don't have to be something that what did you lean on to cope as while you're dealing with this?
No, literally, yeah, just my convictions. It was just 100%, what, just to make sure that it was extremely toxic to have that mentality, and it's dangerous. So I definitely understand like where she's coming from, and from healing from that, I've realized, and I've got this revelation over time, is that we don't. It's not our job to play Holy Spirit, and I say Holy Spirit because Holy Spirit's the one that actually gives convictions, right? That actually drives the conviction behind somebody actually changing their heart. And actually seeking out help from their underlying pains and their childhood traumas. So us trying to actually heal that ourselves and just stick by their side, trying to help them heal, is actually prideful. It's our pride. It's our way of thinking like, okay, well, I, under my own power, can do the job of the Holy Spirit. Which is responsible for that heart change and that heart posture, heart position.
So what made you leave? What made you call it quits? And I mean, because I understand what you're saying when you're advocating, the Holy Spirit. But for those that are watching and listening, I don't know anything about no Holy Spirit. I don't know anything about no holy nothing.
Right.
I'm in a similar position to you. What made you leave? What made you say, you know what, this is it?
I had enough. I had enough. I was at my breaking point. It changed me completely, and it actually led me into a life of promiscuity, lies, being manipulative myself, it broke me. And that was, so it wasn't a positive thing that I left. It was, it was just my breaking point. I reached my limit and I literally broke. And that took years and years and years of that living in my brokenness. It took years and years and years to finally realize, like, oh man, that pain that I experienced from my childhood caused me to experience more pain in that relationship, which caused me to experience all this pain that I'm accumulating, living in this brokenness. So at some point that has to stop. And I just took a journey and took a process. And you say you're getting anxious, like, it's a process. It's a long process. And I learned to enjoy that process of healing and live in it, bathe in it, and enjoy every step of it and embrace it. Like, I don't care if it takes me my whole life to heal from whatever it was that caused that pain from way back when. It's worth it because that stuff is ingrained in our DNA. And literally, very physically, there's scientific evidence proving this, that trauma gets passed down to next generation.
It does.
So I'm really not even on this journey for myself. It's for my family. It's for my sphere of influence. I have a little girl, so I make sure I don't try to portray that and perpetuate that onto her, or my sphere of influence, my family, whatever the case is.
Okay. Now, did you have did you have your daughter by this woman?
No.
Okay, that's from a previous relationship.
No, it was actually
After.
right after that. Yeah.
After that, okay.
Yeah, right after, actually.
Oh, right after.
Yeah.
Okay. Now, so when you had your daughter with the woman after that was short lived.
Yeah, absolutely. It was still me living in my brokenness. That was, situation, and that was reflected of, just me and my brokenness.
Now, what would you say that? I don't know, but when you were with the woman after the one that was hurting you that way, in your brokenness, was that kind of like a way for you? Did you make that a part of your healing? Like, what, I'm connecting with this woman. Maybe I could heal from this through her.
Well, yeah, I think subconsciously it was just a way to try to mask my pain. So it was a way to grab on some type of masculinity, our perception of masculinity by having, a woman, or just going through the emotions of a real healthy relationship, or just to feel
again.
Yeah.
I want to feel again.
Yeah.
What's interesting is I believe that, and I say this all the time, that we're all broken. Everybody walking on this planet Earth is broken in some shape, form, or fashion. The thing is, if we're willing to do something with our brokenness and identify that we're broken and not ignore it, then that's when we begin to have mature and real healing. But we're all broken. Even as I'm talking right now, there's a broken area in my life that I identified, and I'm not willing to let it sit there and say, oh, it doesn't, and ignore it. Because when you ignore it, then it starts to trickle over into everybody else's life.
Right.
And Adara, in your case, how is it trying to? Because you said you're in a place where you're hurting and you have to heal where you're hurt. Like, how is that for you? Like daily, like.
It's frustrating, very frustrating, because even with me, even being in this space is all new for me. So I've never dealt with something like this before. Not only that, perspective change. I have a child now, so it's like I'm trying to, like what Fee was saying, like I'm trying to make sure that I'm not bringing that hurt and showing my son that, just trying to put on a straight face or, a good face just for him, but that's not how I feel. So it's frustrating because it's like I'm really battling with myself and, with the situation. Like, I don't know which way to go, and then I still care, like, to a certain extent, because it's like I said, I have a child to think about, so I can't just move and operate how I probably would have wanted to just deal with the situation, because I'm now factoring other things.
So this child is by the guy?
Yes.
Okay.
So I'm factoring in different things, like how will my child be affected, but then again, I'm sitting there thinking, like, I can't be no good to my child if I'm not good to myself. So it's like, I gotta do what got to be done. Like, at this point, we all deal with things, but I'm just trying to go about it the best way. My mom offered or mentioned counseling, and we went to one session, but I'm also dealing with a narcissist and a manipulator as well. So it's because I see everything, it's frustrating because, again, knowing who I'm dealing with is like, even if we do this one good time or whatever the case may be, or just because we did it one good time, that seems like it's enough. Like, no, it's not. It's never going to be enough until I know that you're healed. That way we can move forward and heal. And my thing is, too, I also know that he dealt with abandonment issues. So it's one of those things where I feel that he doesn't want it to be over because there's another person leaving him. So for me, that's not my problem, though. Especially when you jeopardize everything that I wasn't never trying to leave you. Like, I'm just being honest. Like, especially now, like, but at the same time, I gotta do what's best for me. And I feel like you should want to do what's best for you, regardless if it's attached or detached from me. It should not be, you're only doing things because in the benefit of your relationship, or not even a benefit, like just to hold on. I feel like we can't be good to someone else if we're not good to ourselves. So I promote being selfish. Like, you have to be selfish when it comes to certain things, because like I said, you can't do for someone else and you can't do it for yourself. Like, it just doesn't make sense. It's not going to work.
What I'm hearing right now is that even in your position, is that you have a person that's broken, another person that's broken, and there's no way that the two broken people in the same area or similar areas can heal each other. Mm-hmm. That's something that they need to do as individuals. Mm-hmm. So here's the thing: in a perfect world, how does that look to you? Is he in the picture?
No.
Okay. What about you?
So I've actually, again, more revelation through my experiences. So, and that's common. It happens all the time. It happens, like you said, most of us are broken, and we're just trying to, mask our brokenness any way we can, like just medicate it any way we can. So that's very happens very often. So in that, what I've learned to do is first learn and develop like discernment to see somebody's brokenness, and look for it, not to shame them and run away from them, but just drop seeds of encouragement, drop seeds of the resources that they can kind of that will eventually turn into their own seeking, or their own convictions to seek their own healing and their own, because again, it has to be something that starts here in their heart. So I've learned to just plant the seeds, or what are the seeds, whatever it looks like in that moment when I recognize it, and then walk away, because I still have to guard my own heart. I still have to guard and protect myself, and I still have to, I still have my own brokenness that I have to heal from too. So,
and that's one of the reasons why, I'm very intentional about when I do these podcasts. It's never nothing that, of course, we flow organically, but behind the scenes, I'm very intentional about why I'm doing what I'm doing. And one of the main reasons was, and I'm glad we're flowing like this, because I told you guys about the memory meetings. And so what God has shared with me when I went through my divorces, Jamel, you never learned how to live with the memory of what occurred. So there was something that happened in 2014, 2015, and I just masked the memory. I did what everybody said do, love, forgive, apologize, pray, worship, fast, meditate, do all the things that you do. And those are great things to do, but they're just stepping stones to healing a bigger issue. Mm-hmm. God said the human frailty that I gave you is that you have a brain and it has memory. Now, of course, if you develop like Alzheimer's or Parkinson's or something, you'll forget, but 9 times out of 10, you have this memory, and it stems back to childhood. And so as a child, you're going through what you're going through. And we come to our parents or whoever's our guardian at that time, and we're like, hey, this is what happened. And they're like, oh, just go in the back, And so what happens is we never get to express truly the hurt and the pain. Mm-hmm. And it's nothing wrong with our guardians at that time. It's just they were doing the best with what they had. Right. Great individuals is doing the best with what they had. So what we do is, as years progress, we just mask these memories. Mm-hmm. And what happens is life has triggers. Just that I had to experience triggers, and those triggers occur. They start to reveal the hurt and the pain that you say. Our famous words is, I'm okay. I'm okay. Yep. And we mask it, whether it's with a corporate position, whether we put some makeup on, whether we put a fly hat on and a suit, and we hang out with the fellas, and we like, yeah, I'm good, I'm too. Or we get the church vernacular, I'm blessed, highly favored, can't be stressed. But deep down inside, that thing is eating you alive. And as I'm going through this process, I'm like, well, God, how do I overcome this? He was like, Jamel, you have to partner your memory with healthy people, not perfect people. Because some people just want to hear about your pain so they can gossip about your pain. Mm-hmm. So and at first, here's the thing. This is the first thing I had to do was I had to be honest with, not myself. I had to be honest first with God. Like, God, you know what? I don't like what happened. I'm hurting, breaking down, crying. Like, yo, this hurts right here. And then honest with myself in the mirror, like, I'm broken. I'm hurting this area. I don't like it. Yeah. And I got to do something about it. And then from that standpoint, he began to place a certain individual in my life, another man, and I say this to the camera and those that's watching and listening, every man needs a man over him.
Period.
Every man. Well, in a spiritual sense and a natural. Every man needs a man over. And I'm not talking about it could be your dad, it could be your cousin, but somebody who doesn't really know you like that. So it can't be choosing sides. But every man, and I believe every woman needs a woman over her for situations like this. And so going back to what I was saying, I had to partner my memory with a healthy person. And I began to share that memory with them. And we would meet maybe once a week to three times a month. And I just started to share the memory of what happened in my marriage. And the next thing you know, the attention went off my marriage into my childhood. I said, you know what? Now that I'm learning this, I'm not okay with how the police did that to me. Right. When they slammed me on the hood, or when this happened with my dad, I'm not okay with that. That thing, now that I'm going in here, let's unravel this. And so what happened was, as I partnered that memory, the memory began to lose its strength. It was still there. I would go into a restaurant where my wife and I used to eat at, and the song would come on, and I'd be like, oh, wow. And so I would break down a little bit. But as I began to partner the memory more, what happened was I would go to a certain restaurant, song would come on. Now the memory, if the trigger would hit, the memory would come, but it's not strong enough to overwhelm me and push me into isolation or quiet me down. And everybody's like, hey, what's wrong with you? No, now it's like I see it, I identify it, and it's like, you go back over there. I'm stronger than the memory now. Mm-hmm. And so what I'm saying about the intentionality behind what we did today was, this was in a sense you guys partnering your memory first. God's hearing, he's hearing this conversation. And then with me, I want to say that I'm okay you guys partnering your memory with me. I will be praying about these memories, because I believe as you're doing that, that memory that you have and that you have is losing its strength. Every time that you can talk about it, it's losing its strength. Now, I'm not saying we just go out here and share with anybody. Like Will was saying, we using discernment with healthy people. You know what I mean? And not perfect people. And then we got to really use that gut and discernment to be like, okay, who am I sharing this with? Because like I said, some people just want to gossip about your pain. Like, oh man, you heard what happened to Odera? You heard what happened to Will, man? Yeah, she got abused, and Will was doing this. He was demasculated. No, I'm letting you know the Value Podcast is a safe place. This is why we started with prayer, and even behind the scenes there'll be prayer. And then my prayer is that you'll begin to gain strength in that area every time you lose the memory. So then when you're in that place where you're trying to heal, but it's hurt there, the triggers will come, but then you'll start to be like, I'm actually okay. Mm-hmm. And then when you say you're okay, you're legitimately like, I'm okay. Because I had to get to that point where I was like, I'm okay. Yeah. And I could legitimately say, no, I'm okay. Yeah. Do the triggers stop? No, because it's called living with the memory. So even 10 years from now, there'll be a trigger, but it has no strength. Mm-hmm. And nobody never talked to us like this or taught us this. I know it. I didn't learn this. I learned this on my own. I went through this process on my own, had to live through this process, and I was like, yo, this is good. Right. Because then some people, they might not have the monetary gain to afford counseling or coaching. So who do I partner this memory with? Because everybody I turn to is like they're gossiping or they're talking about my pain. Mm-hmm.
And with that, that's kind of one of the reasons why I didn't, for a long time, people don't even know. Not even a long time, nobody knows. This is my first time actually publicly saying I've been in an abusive relationship where I've been abused. I mean, I have certain friends that I've discussed it with, and they, for a long time, didn't even believe it because they see him and be like, are you fucking lying? Like for real, dang, I never would have thought that, or whatever the case may be. But yeah, it's real. Yeah. And it's not happened just one time. It hasn't even happened twice or 3 times. It's been quite a few. So, not only that, when you even started off and you was having a scar on your heart, I literally had a scar on my chest that I just got covered up with a tattoo. Literally, that I used to have to look at every day and think about something that was toxic. So for me, it's this is step one. Not even step one. This is another step to really being inside of the healing process, because I lied. People would ask about my scar. I have a friend now who never knew. I told him I got in a fight with a girl. Literally. And that was not the case. I was lying. And it feels good to not even, to be transparent and not to have that over you and feel because I'm not a liar. I'm really not a liar. I hate lying. You know what I'm saying? So it feels good to be able to just be transparent, because I feel like this conversation was long overdue just for myself.
Yeah, that's good.
Because I don't have nobody to talk to. Even when I try to talk to
after a while, I know we had conversations outside of, he and I was saying, like, sometimes when I talk, I feel like I'm not being heard. Because, and then it kind of makes me feel like I don't want to talk no more. Because it's either somebody gets offended by what I'm saying, they feel like I'm so strong that my problems aren't big enough to be an issue, or like, oh, you'll deal with it, or some people just feel like whatever they got going on is so big that what I got going on is, girl, you know what I'm saying? Like, I can't deal with you because I got my own shit deal with. And after a while, that gets frustrating, especially because just going back off of different relationships and how it happens, because I feel like the reason why I get like that is kind of from one of the relationships with my mom. Like, when I talk to her, you would think that I could talk to my mom, but it's like after a while, she's like, I don't want to hear this no more. Like, and I'm like, I'm going through something. I'm your only child. I'm going through something. Like, help. Like, help. But it don't even be that. I don't even want to seem like it's, not even that. I don't want to make it seem so small when it's not, because it's a big issue.
Yeah.
But it's all, like I said, a healing process, and I'm going through it. It feels good. Like, I know I'm crying now, but it really just like tears of joy just to be able to be open and not have to keep like piling stuff over top of it, because people look from the outside and just think that you got it all figured out, and you don't. I don't.
Yeah.
I never did. I never even portrayed myself as perfect or like I got it all figured out. But that's people look at me and they do that for me. And that's another thing I don't like. Like, I don't like that I have to be always the person that should know. Like, who said I supposed to know? Like, I feel like I'm the person that can come to cry on my shoulder, but can I cry on yours? Like, it's not, it doesn't balance out as much as I would like. And it kind of puts a shield on how I operate, but at the same time, it allows me to operate with a state of knowing, because I know, like, I'm not oblivious to it. So I can see and I can move accordingly, versus allowing it to just be like, okay, well, yeah, I'm just hard up, or I'm sheltered or guarded or whatever the case may be. I can still understand. I can still, interact and not have that. And I guess that's another reason why people do look at me and my strength, because I don't look like what I've been through. Where some people, if it's on them, you can see it. Like, what's up with you? Like, you know what I'm saying? Most of the time I walk in the room, I got a smile on my face every time you see me. Like, you would never know what's going on. I remember one time I broke down to you at work, just randomly, like, but most people don't see that. Like, and that was just random, like, but again, it's all part of the healing process. It definitely feels good to be in this state, because I've prayed, I've meditated, I've fasted, I've did things, and the one thing that really keeps me going is God. Like, I cannot, like, and that's another reason why I feel like this was good, and I wanted to do it, because just to tell people what I've been through and how I'm getting through it and how I make it look so easy, but it's not even me, it's Him. It's Him. Like, I can give you real testimonies of times where I thought I didn't know which way to go, how I was going to do it, and it was Him. Like, it's not me. I'm not doing this by myself.
Yeah.
If I can't turn to nobody else, I know I can turn to God.
Yeah.
Always. And He's going to make a way regardless. So I try to really be an advocate for Him and just be, transparent when it comes to the relationship with Him, because people really just be having it twisted when it comes to their priorities, or, what they think is, coping or getting through or healing, and it's nobody but Him.
Sometimes the healing is ugly.
Absolutely.
People, we sometimes paint it as this beautiful picture, and it is beautiful on the outside, on the end.
Yeah, true.
And it's always our perspective. One of the hardest pills to swallow, and I shared this in my book, is our wounds were intended to heal somebody else's. And even the word saying we're overcome by our testimony. Right now, this is a testimony moment, and it says His strength is made perfect in our weakness. So even in this weak area that we're in, or the weak area that you're in, or the weak area that we'll experience, or the feeble, or the not having enough strength area, I should say, even if we don't use the word weak, that's where God's strength shows up and gives us the umph to go one more day and to tell one more person, you know, and our brokenness is directly connected to somebody's breakthrough. So sometimes we always say, man, I gotta be healed completely, but I'm thankful that you guys are sharing this, because some people don't have it. Some people don't have time for us to be whole and healed. Our brokenness right now where we are is directly connected to somebody listening or watching their breakthrough. So I guarantee your story, Will's story, somebody's gonna listen to this, somebody's gonna be watching this, and they're gonna get a breakthrough. So I thank both of you guys. This is just a pause. I told you guys we never stop on the Value Podcast. Shoot, I'm getting a little emotional, man. I want to drop a tear. I was gonna drop a tear a couple times. You talking, man? I'm trying to woosah it in, keep it in. But yeah, I told you guys, man. I'm giving you tools to help you maintain and have healthier relationships. These were some tools just now. Will's testimony, Adara's testimony. You guys are on social media, so tell everybody where they can find you at.
You can find me at Adara_me, ADAIRA_ME. That's where I'm most of the time, but not really.
Will.
Yeah, you can find me on Instagram at Mr. Will I is. That's Mr_Will.I.is. Original, right?
Right. Yes.
Yeah, so you guys know where you can find me. Instagram, Facebook, Twitter, YouTube, Jamel D. Jackson. It's the Value Podcast. I want to give a special shout out to my sponsor, Defy the Odds brand. Love you guys. Over and out.